All right, welcome to another edition of the Gould-Fish pod. I actually have an entire new setup for the video all ready to go, which YouTube isn't really liking the one that I have going right now. So we'll see if that ends up working. But we've got another episode here, more Dynamite and Rampage to talk about. But the first thing that I wanted to bring up is the retirement of Tom Brady, which I know, very, very hard hitting and edgy topic to start with. I'm like really emotionally affected by this man retiring, and I'm like embarrassed to admit it.
I mean, he's been one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, we've ever seen. So it's hard to fathom what it is without him.
Yeah, and it's weird because I don't remember the 2001 Super Bowl. Is that the first one that they won? I don't remember anything from the season where Brady took over as the starter. But I do have memories of the seasons after that, like here and there. So it's almost like his career grew up as I did. It just started 3 years later than I was born. But yeah, I loved watching that guy. There were multiple years where my strategy was simply we're going to bet the Patriots spread every single week until it doesn't work. And there were years where I would do that and it would work effectively for like 11 or 12 weeks, like in a row. It was awesome. Yeah, no, it sucks. Honestly, like I know I'll still watch and I know I'll still play fantasy football, but for maybe just a minute or two, my general interest in the NFL took a hard nosedive when that news became official. So yeah, I and the Bucks are fucked. So there's that.
Well, the Bucks should go get Jimmy G now.
The man, Jimmy, that would basically mean that Bill Belichick's idea of having Jimmy G take over for Tom Brady ends up happening anyways, just in a completely different city.
Yeah, different situation, but it will happen.
Bill knew.
He's the one that went to bat for Jimmy G.
You know what I actually want to see happen though?
What's that?
What I actually want to see happen is that the Buccaneers now sign Aaron Rodgers and they win another Super Bowl with him. And then they pick up the next guy who's entering his late 30s and sick of his career and where he's at. And they win a Super Bowl with him. I just want the Buccaneers' new quarterback strategy to be always picking up whoever's about to retire and getting the last couple good years out of them.
The revolving door.
Yes, just always do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, at the moment it works.
Yeah, that's like if I'm the Bucks GM, I'm just like, I mean, we got options. Aaron wants to leave apparently, so if Aaron
Jimmy G is going to be a
Rodgers,
free agent, or well, it depends because he's under contract, so he'll have to be traded or he'll be cut by the Niners.
yeah, not exactly the same scenario. I don't know that Jimmy G is a legend whose career is coming to a close, but
He's a legend.
he is some kind of legend, that's for sure.
He's the GOAT.
Did you see his press conference?
Just a class act.
He ended up basically saying that he's out of there.
Yeah, well, they basically are forced him out all year.
That's true.
They're looking to trade him during the offseason.
That's true. And then brought him back to an NFC championship game. Maybe he is a legend.
I was going to say he's probably the greatest, had the greatest lame duck season of all time. Knowing that he's not going to be on the team next year, but wills his team to an NFC championship game.
I mean, yeah, he was definitely playing for his job next year somewhere else.
Yeah. And, I'm a bit kind of a stats guy for Jimmy G, but you're going to like this one. He does have a higher winning percentage than Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, I don't
know. Fuck off. Oh, fuck off. Which actually, that is impressive, even though there's a giant disparity in games because the Packers technically do play the NFC North every year and they suck every year for the most part. So his record's probably a little inflated to begin with. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, well, Jimmy G, you've had,
NFC West, that's a tough division.
The past couple of years, it's been a bloodbath over there.
It sure has. So I mean, I guess we're gonna make the argument that Jimmy G is better than Aaron Rodgers. I guess that's where you're going with this next.
That's you're proving me right now by just comparing them. The eye test that Jimmy G's better. So
Just putting them in the same breath is confirming everything that you believe.
yes, that's it. You're speaking my language.
All right. Well, we watched Dynamite last night, but you guys don't know that. You think that we recorded this on Sunday. And before we talk about Dynamite, I'm actually going to fix my light over here. Give me 1 second. All right. So we're talking AEW Dynamite from February 2nd, 2022. Fish, what'd you think of the show?
As a whole, I thought it was actually really good. Definitely, they're building more towards Revolution now, which is nice. And then obviously you had the big main event match, which, was great in itself. So I'm happy that they're starting to build towards the pay-per-view now and make it worthwhile watching.
Sure. I thought it was a really, really great show.
Yes.
One of the better start to finish Dynamites that we've had in a while. Minus the Nyla Rose Ruby Soho match, which I could have taken or leaved, but it was still okay. Overall, it went by so fast, and having a main event that takes up like 40 of those minutes will do that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, top to bottom, I was pretty entertained by the show. The only thing that I sit here and question, are we really going to allow Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley to form a group together?
I don't know. We'll talk about that when the segment comes up, but it is definitely an interesting topic, to say the least.
Well, let's go into it then. We started with the Moxley Wheeler Yuta match?
Yes, we kicked off Dynamite with Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta,
which was supposed to be Jon Moxley and Brian Kendrick, but if you're interested in how that went, you can find some information about it on your own.
Yeah, we're not going to provide that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about what exactly was happening or what Mr. Kendrick claimed to believe or not believe. So he said some things. People didn't like it. Wheeler Yuta got a spot in the match.
Of the best friends.
Which, whatever. But at least they've got Danhausen now, who he's not a part of the best friends, according to him. He's not a part of the best friends. He's simply with his good friends.
They're with good friends, not the best friends. They're just good friends.
Well, he is good friends with them.
Right. So he's not part of the faction.
No. So the hopes of him being a part of the AHFO are still very much alive.
Still alive. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the match? Good?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely showcased a lot for Wheeler Yuta too. I thought they were just good spots. I mean, Jon Moxley looks incredible as always. Even after taking that couple months off, I mean, he still looks great. So it's nice to see him back in the ring. I always enjoy Jon Moxley matches.
I thought this was actually the best that Jon Moxley looked in the matches that he's had since he come back. He didn't look bad in the other ones. It's just there was a different energy to him tonight, and they did definitely give. Wheeler Yuta definitely got to do a little more than he did last time they wrestled Jon Moxley, or last time he wrestled Jon Moxley. But also he didn't have the unwavering support of his best friends back then, I don't think. So
correct. I think they were just I think he was on his own maybe, or they weren't as good of best friends.
Didn't they wrestle in a squash match the first time?
I think so. I think Wheeler Yuta might have done like a couple things and Moxley just like tore his head off.
He does love doing that.
But anyway, blood, so
he didn't in this match, thank God.
No, he did not.
One day he will do that, like kinda. Like somebody will bleed and he's gonna taste it or something.
He's
ridiculous.
Gonna lick it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, as much as I love Moxley, as much as he looked really good, this was one of those AEW matches that's more about the angle afterwards. So tell us about it.
So yeah, after the match we had Bryan Danielson come out to the ring and wants an alliance with Jon Moxley to form a faction.
Boy, does he.
I mean, they would be unstoppable to say the least, but
they would.
He threw out some names that were interesting to say that they would be part of their faction.
Yeah, and I mean, if Brian Danielson wants those guys in his faction, then guys like Big Shotty must be better than I expect. Or Brian Danielson is a horrible talent scout, which I find like it's probably a little more reasonable that I'm wrong than Brian Danielson's being wrong. So
Yeah, I mean it's
I'm a big
but he did call out some interesting names to say the least that you thought that would be maybe like a Dante Martin mixed in there, but he picked out Lee Moriarty, and even Wheeler Yuta. Like I wouldn't suspect those two in that faction.
I mean, he could have picked two other people instead of them. He also did mention Daniel Garcia. I think that was the only one that I actually liked, and he's the only one that actually even remotely fits together with Moxley and Danielson. There was the suggestion that you get a guy like Big Shotty joining your team. You're putting a wrench.
Big Shotty.
You're putting a wrench in the Nightmare family. A better way to put in a wrench in the Nightmare family would probably be to get Brock Anderson instead, because then Arn literally has conflicting interests. Whereas Big Shotty, if that were actually a thing, it would just be like, oh, some guy left our group. Now he's with another group. But if it was Arn's son that left the group, I might actually care. But also maybe he just didn't say some bigger names so that people didn't sit and complain about how they don't get the faction when it ultimately doesn't happen. I don't know. I'm ragging on Big Shotty. I don't mean to. He had an excellent match a week ago. It's completely unnecessary. I shouldn't be doing it. He had an awesome
Big
match.
Shotty. Come on.
I don't know. It feels like there's 8 different Big Shotties just scattered throughout all the wrestling shows for the week. I don't know.
He should have got the captain in there since he's 1-0 this year.
The captain definitely could have been in there. And I loved what Brian Danielson, was totally running down all the champions.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And apparently not a big fan of vlogs either.
Not a
vlog liker. Not a vlog liker at all.
Oh yeah, no, he was giving the business to the champs.
Yeah, sure was.
But yeah, after that, we stroll on into Dan Lambert and Brandy Rhodes.
Oh yeah, I forgot this was on the show. I hated it.
Yeah, the crowd was furious.
Dude, I don't know. Like, here's my whole thing. What was supposed to happen? So, like, I'm to believe that Brandy came out there for some reason and was then interrupted by Dan Lambert. What was he interrupting? Like, what was she out there to do? Why was there just a random, like, let's get Brandy on TV and have Dan Lambert run her down segment? Like, what?
No, we didn't have the reality of her being out there in the first place. She was just out there.
She's just randomly out there.
Yes, correct.
So I thought that was a pretty dumb waste of time. Probably could have used that TV time to get 2 young guys a match experience, come back from commercial, have both guys in the ring, let them go 6-7 minutes and get some young dudes on the TV. Instead, we had to watch the owner of an MMA gym argue with the chief brand officer. Why? We don't know. But the one positive I thought was Paige Van Sant coming out. She looked great, I thought. I mean, it wasn't like the best pull apart I've ever seen. In fact, kind of sucked, but she was great.
Yes, correct. Yeah, she was. I was going to say I bet that was the reason why for the interruption, but it took a while to get to that.
I mean, I was sitting there thinking afterwards, like, this Paige Van Sant needs to be a professional wrestler like yesterday.
Right, correct.
She's just got all the expression. She's got the energy for it. She's a legitimate badass, which always helps. And I believe right now, or maybe not right now, maybe the contract's over. It was a while ago that she had signed with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships.
Oh my.
Yes. And like, here's the deal. I think she was a UFC fighter, but like, she wasn't that good. She was kind of put out there just to kind of be like a face because she's popular, but like, she's very popular online, but
right.
I don't know that she was ever like the most skilled fighter in the world. And then this Bare Knuckle group signed her to like a lot of money. But I would guess that being a pro wrestler is preferred to being punched in the face repeatedly. Because like if you're
That's
not,
bare knuckles.
yeah, I hope it's just a name and that's not the rules. I actually have no idea. I've never looked up this promotion before. But yeah, she screams like somebody who should be in wrestling and doing that because she's really good at it.
I would say it was almost like she had like that championship aura about her.
She had the aura of her that like she should be confronting Dr. Britt Baker, not Brandy Rhodes.
Or you could even say Jade Cargill.
No.
Like she should. I was gonna say get a championship belt on her, but
nope. Have you ever seen anything from Rhodes to the Top, the reality show?
I think I've watched like one episode and that was it.
All right, so I think I saw like the first 2 or 3 episodes total, or at least pieces of them. And on one of the episodes, I don't even remember if I was watching it or if I saw a clip, but there was a storyline on the reality show where Red Velvet was hit too hard by Jade Cargill, and it was a big to-do backstage. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, if Jade was hitting people too hard and Red Velvet was complaining about it, like, what's going to happen when Paige accidentally winds up and just cracks Jade Cargill because, you know, she's used to really fighting for real? Like, then what's going to happen? Like, this ain't for the faint of heart. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, I agree. Then now moving on to Matt Hardy and then Isaiah Cassidy getting that TNT championship match with Sammy Guevara.
Matt Hardy was excellent in this segment. Andrade is also good. And it made me happy to see that Matt Hardy and Andrade were both admonishing Private Party for quite literally being failures.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely reality. Like, that's the reality of it.
They have failed many times. And I love Andrade. Hey, what happened last week? And Matt's like, what happened? They failed.
My favorite part was when Mark Quinn said they could beat Sammy, and Matt Hardy said no because you got pinned last week. That was the reason why he didn't get the title shot.
I like that there is officially it looks like Matt Hardy's actually now putting some thought into his strategies here rather than just sending guys out, trying to cheat and hoping for the best.
Yes, absolutely.
And they can't lock down Darby.
No, they can't.
They're going to end up with Danhausen, I'm telling you.
I hope that's true.
This is all building to the reveal of Matt Hardy telling Andrade that he got his deal done. He got his guy. And then he reveals him, and it's fucking Danhausen. It's going to be great.
That would be great. I'm looking forward to that. I hope that you speak it into existence.
I'm going to talk about it every week until then.
Well, I'll be waiting for it. But
good.
We move on to Malachi Black and Brody King of House of Black. I don't know, whatever their else name is, versus Pac and Penta of Death Triangle.
This was a really good match. It's just the reputation of all 4 of the guys in the ring made me think that it was going to be like a psychopath match. So I was a little taken aback when the guys actually were tame. The Pac being blindfolded to start the match thing, I still don't know how I even feel about that.
It's similar to, for me, is like that John Moxley and I think someone else had the eye patch. When you know that it's a ruse, but I don't know how we can seriously take them as being blind.
Exactly. Like in Moxley's case, he wore an eye patch over one eye.
Right.
And the question of believability was in, did they really stab his eyeball? Like, is that really what happened? And that's why he needs to wear an eye. Like, that part of it was preposterous. The preposterous part about this is that Pac has been out injured weeks because he got liquid in his eyes. And then he comes back and apparently he can wrestle blind. And he should have kept the blindfold on because it went all downhill after he took that thing off. He was doing great until he took off that blindfold. Then eventually the House of Black, Kings of Black Throne, whatever the hell their name is, they immediately took over. And then there was a little bit of a back and forth before Penta ultimately was outsmarted and hit with whatever their...
The Black Mist.
No, yeah, he was hit with the miss. What's the name? Oh, the Dante's Inferno,
Oh, the Dante's Inferno, their
which
finisher.
which
Yes,
might be my new favorite finishing move name ever.
that is a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like Penta's hot tag. I always love Penta's
Oh,
hot tag.
he's
So
always good for an electric hot tag. You know he's good for that.
yes, absolutely, 100%.
What did you think about this?
I thought it was a great match, honestly. Like,
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe there would be a Canadian destroyer, but there wasn't one.
See, that was the thing. Like I was watching this and thinking like, oh man, this is amazing. But I thought these guys were gonna like try and kill themselves. I'm glad they're not, but that's what I was expecting. And that's what it was. No Canadian destroyer.
No Canadian destroyer. So
Those
we'll
idiots
see.
probably did it during the commercial break.
Yeah, I fast forwarded picture in picture. But yeah, I mean, obviously the House of Black won, and yeah, see where that goes.
Hopefully it goes to them being tag team champions for a long time. Because as Brian Danielson said, what kind of joke is it that a dinosaur is a tag team champion?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So then we went to the Adam Cole promo where he still declares himself as undefeated, which he is.
We did all of that so that Adam Cole could cut a promo where he explicitly states that his loss to Orange doesn't count and he still gets a title shot anyway. Makes me feel like we wasted even more time than I already knew that we were wasting.
Yeah, I was going to skip this segment for they're like, yeah, I mean, he's undefeated. Like, true. Move on.
Great. You know how he would actually be undefeated if instead of making him wrestle Orange Cassidy 6 times, he got to wrestle other people, just gain wins and challenge for the title. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Because the money and the segments that are going to be enjoyable is the Hangman Page, Adam Cole. They used to be in the same group together. They used to travel the roads together, did ROH together. There's so much compelling about that match that why couldn't Adam Cole have just won? I don't care if it was unsanctioned or lights out. It was one of like 4 matches against the same guy. And no one's going to remember it as soon as we actually head firmly in the direction of Adam Cole, Hangman Page. Nobody is going to.
No, yeah, I will forget about it. So
yeah, the only reason I won't forget about it is because I will persist in being this upset with how many weeks are spent on it.
That's a very valid point there, but yeah, I'm gonna just ignore that feud even happened.
All right, it didn't happen. Continue, and neither did that segment. Actually, it was a good promo.
Yeah, right, but
it was a good promo.
Yeah, we go to Nyla Rose and Ruby Soho.
This was a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely expected a better match. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either per se. Like where I expect them to have that kind of quality match. Like, don't get me wrong, I like them both, but I just wish it was a little bit better of a paced match.
I also like both of them. Nyla just is one of those wrestlers where it's like she either has like a match that's far better than you expected, or it's one of those matches that's like, it never really gripped me. Like it wasn't bad,
right?
It just never really gripped me, and that was one of these matches.
It's the ones with like Britt Baker that like we think that they're going to be good, and then like they're just kind of fall
they're
flat.
Only okay. Yeah.
Yes.
She's a coin flip. You know, she's a coin flip wrestler, working on her consistency. That's why she's got Vicky Guerrero.
Correct. Yeah. For me, I think the pace could have been just a little bit faster.
Oh, I think it was can be in those matches. Always.
Yeah. I just think it was a little. I think that's where we kind of lose interest, where it gets too slow of a developing match. But I mean, it started out hot with Ruby attacking her, but after that, like I said, there's just kind of the middle of the match was fading.
It was one of those matches where there was a specific point in the match. I don't know, halfway point, little before halfway, where I can literally tell the difference between the stuff that they worked out beforehand and the stuff that they're trying to figure out there on the fly.
Correct.
And I feel like whenever they get to the point where all of the stuff that they planned out beforehand is done, it slows down significantly. I don't know that to be true. I don't even know that I'm right, but that's what it feels like. It feels like all of the pre-planned stuff they do awesome. And then when it's time to go from there, it slows down, and it's almost like it's a scene from a different match. when it gets that slow. When you contrast to how good it is when they're moving.
Correct. Yes. But yeah, so moving on, we went to the Gun Club attacking Jungle Boy, and they also...
What a geek. The fuck was he thinking? Stupid.
Oh, man.
Idiot. He threw a jacket, and he didn't even hit the biggest gun, who then literally destroyed him.
Yeah. If you're going to go after someone that's attacking you, might as well try to go after the biggest or the smallest. Pick one. Yes. But he didn't even touch anything.
No, he picked the middle guy. If you go after the smallest guy, at least you might take one out. You're probably going to need to do more than throw a jacket at them, but at least you got a chance. Then it's 2-on-1. Instead, he attacks the middle guy and gets the shit beat out of him by the other two. And even Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, his exact words. Actually, I don't know his exact words, but he said something like, "Are you kidding me? Or are you serious?" And he throws him into the snow. It was great. Yeah, they should not have Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy already is friends with a dinosaur and thinks he lives in the jungle. They probably don't need to do that many more segments where he looks like a complete clown.
He just looked brutal there. It's not even a
branding.
Fight.
Yes. He's supposed to be a Jungle Boy, not a clown. And it's very off-brand. That
is correct.
And it's funny too, real quick, because it's not even like the Gun Club are running away because they've been caught and like they don't also want to get it beat up. They're just really immature. So they beat up Jungle Boy, think it's funny, and then they start running away. Like
they're laughing.
Yeah, it's not a fear thing. They're not afraid of Christian Cage like catching them. They're just immature.
Yes, they don't even know what to do with themselves, so they just run
and laugh. Good for the Gun Club. They deserve that one.
They also stole a camera again too, so
he did.
So stealing. Right. So it's 2 times out of the last 3 weeks they have stolen a camera.
Yeah, and it's always on a show where somebody else just like asked to borrow one.
Correct.
Or like a week after, where like someone just asked to borrow one. Even Andrade politely asked to borrow a camera.
Exactly. But yeah, the Gun Club, you're just stealing cameras.
The fucking Gun Club. I liked it for the Gun Club. For Jungle Boy, This was not good.
No, not good for the champs.
No.
But yeah, we go to the segment with Hangman and Lance Archer.
This was the best thing that they've done.
Yeah, I was going to say is definitely like the most showing of like this should have happened earlier.
If they had done it,
I think that's what made.
I might care.
I think that's what like I didn't like about this segment was that it should have happened 3 weeks ago.
Yes, and then it should have happened 3 weeks ago, and then the next 2 weeks are the weeks where you are trying like hell to get those guys separated from one another. And then this week should have been the week where we agree to a Texas death match. Instead, this was just step 2 happened, and then step 5 happened, and then step 1 happened. We should have gotten this weeks ago. It was great, though.
Yes, correct. I think, like I said, I think I'm just more upset that it should have happened earlier than what it did.
Yeah, and too much Dan Lambert. He did not need to be out on the show for a second.
I don't know what he's doing with Lance Archer when he has Jake the Snake.
No. When Dan Lambert is really good, it's very entertaining. But when he's just out there and it's directionless, it's usually not very good. Yep. And the crowd was literally cheering him earlier in the show just because they hate Brandy so much. So
you're right.
Nothing Dan Lambert did today worked for me. No. Usually it does.
Yeah, it was a pass for me. So
me as well.
And then we have Chris Jericho demanding that the team meeting of the Inner Circle next week on Dynamite.
These are my favorite. I love when I was going to call him Chris Circle. I love when Chris Jericho. I love when Chris Jericho calls meetings. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing that he does. They've had a town hall. What was the other one that they had?
They had something where Orange Cassidy dumped the orange juice on him. I forget what that was.
They've had a town hall. They've had a debate.
The debate. Well, yes.
They did the Orange Cassidy thing. The Thanksgiving celebration.
Oh, yeah. The celebration of Le Champion.
Yeah, anytime they do like one of these inner circle gatherings, I love it.
Yeah, and then the one with Moxley in the car, I thought that was great too.
Oh yes, that also was yes. How could I forget about that one? I forget what their titles were, but he's literally called all of them something different.
We need to come up with the list.
The list of meetings of meeting names that Jericho has used. That would be the list.
That would be the list or the lexicon. If
that was so funny. I'll never forget that.
That's a callback. If the viewers want to know what the lexicon is, they need to go look it up.
Yes, look up the lexicon of Le Champion if you haven't seen it. Oh, and also I had heard something on the Wrestling Observer radio show that there was a idea of breaking up the Inner Circle, and the idea was said to have been brought up like a couple of weeks back. But apparently Tony was like, no, there's more segments to be had before it's just done. And so I don't know if they're breaking up. It seemed like Tony was not in favor of them breaking up at all. But, having some of that little backstage, I don't even know if any of that's accurate. For all I know, it could be wrong. Ignorance is bliss. Maybe I should stop listening and reading. But, but no, it could. So look for some interesting stuff between the Inner Circle the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely before the pay-per-view, there's going to be some interesting stuff. And then that leads us to our last segment, MJF versus CM Punk.
This was so good.
That was incredible.
I really thought CM Punk should have won. And I think they're going to have another match. I mean, shit, MJF wrestled Jericho 3 times. Jericho didn't beat him until the third one. But just a little cool thing about the Punk and MJF match. The spot where he choked him out and then they restarted the match, there was actually a wrestler in ROH. His name was Jimmy Rave, I believe. I know it was Rave, but I think it was Jimmy Rave. And I don't know if he was one of Punk's friends or if they were just guys who wrestled together many times. But they literally took all of the spots from the Jimmy Rave match Punk had with him at the 11th anniversary show, like many, many years ago. I don't even know where they're on, but it said the 11th anniversary of Ring of Honor. They had Jimmy Rave do the exact same thing that MJF did in this match. I'm talking the choking him out, only the other guy used a shoelace. I'm talking as his hand was raised, Jimmy dropped the shoelace. I'm talking frame by frame. They actually put both of them together in a video and they took you through the spots, and it would go the old time one, and then it would show you the one from last night, and then go back to the old one. I'm not kidding. It was almost like watching a picture perfect slideshow. They did the exact same thing. And Jimmy Rave had just recently passed away. So it was kind of like a homage to a guy that Punk used to have very compelling matches with. And he
very fitting.
Yeah,
very fitting.
And so he gave a little homage to that guy. And I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was just one incredible match.
Yep, 2 guys who didn't have to kill themselves. The knee and shoulder selling by CM Punk was outstanding. I mean, like in a world where you can turn on AEW Dynamite and there's going to be a handful of guys trying to steal the show with a bunch of shit that you may or may not have even seen before. These 2 guys, that was one of the best matches I think I've seen MJF have. There's a lot. I mean, he's a good wrestler, but just how they were able to draw that match out and make the whole thing interesting, it was a real testament to A, how much all of the fans care about both guys, and B, how truly good at wrestling they are to be able to do that match the way they did and keep the crowd the whole way. Correct. A little bit of a cheat code being in Chicago, but it would have worked everywhere. So
yeah, it was definitely nice to have it in Chicago, but yeah, overall that match would have kicked ass anywhere.
Now, the most compelling thing is obviously the finish. First off, I believe that we were both in the camp of CM Punk. We thought CM Punk would win.
Yes.
Okay, so here is what I thought. Now, Just because I'm about to say that I thought this might have been a little better doesn't mean I didn't like everything that I saw, because it was fucking awesome. But I thought that the better way to go would be for CM Punk to win this one, and then CM Punk to have a title match at Revolution and lose. So now Hangman has title defenses over Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, which is great for the Hangman. After that, MJF should become the next champion. And only then should he and CM Punk have a rematch where MJF beats him clean. Because we're now at a point where MJF he's obviously their number one heel, but he's the heel that wins by cheating every time. And I know that's like, oh, well, he's the heel. But if he's going to eventually be a world champion, I want him to be the dominant heel champion. The guy who I hate
Correct.
because he's that good and he backs it up. I am far less interested in watching the annoying champion who just gets under people's skin because he cheats every time. Because it's going to make a lot of baby faces look incompetent along the way if he's champion and beating people like this over and over and over again. Also, it might make less sense the way they're doing it, because MJF has been winning big matches by having Wardlow hand him the ring to win. So eventually Wardlow's going to turn on him. Is MJF just all of a sudden going to get much better and no longer need a ring and a Wardlow to start winning matches? It's like, if he's not going to start losing and Wardlow leaves, all of a sudden now Max is better off without the muscle guy and without him being out there to hand him the ring, which makes no fucking sense.
Right. Well, I like it. We talked about the last show was that we don't want to compare championships, but Kenny as a bad guy would still go out there and win. It just towards the end was relying on cheating, but the way he got to be a champion, he was not relying on cheating.
Well, technically he did cheat to win the title at first.
Right.
And it was a problem I had with his reign too. But the way that they presented the elite cheating was, this is the elite, this is their company, they're going to do this no matter what. They're going to do this if Kenny's winning because they can and they want to. And sometimes it would help Kenny win. Other times it was just a spot in a match and Kenny won on his own later anyways. But in this circumstance, MJF literally wins every big match the same way.
Right.
And to compare, if we are doing the title reign comparison thing, like if MJF were to get strapped up with the belt by this summer, he should no longer be needing a ring to beat people, at least for a little while.
Correct. Right. Well, I was just saying, at least like with the scenario of Kenny, that when he won the tournament to get that title shot, he ran through that. Yes, that's what I was trying to kind of like get that comparison of, like, they showed that he can win matches without cheating. Already. Yes.
And then once he became champion, it was all about, I just got to defend this title. Like, it doesn't, people know I'm the best. I just have to keep the title now. And so he would do that by getting some help from the Bucks, the Good Brothers, Don Callis. Like, there were always ways that he was helped, but it was first established that he did not need it. And I can't come up with one big win that MJF has had that was clean.
I can't either.
I think he cheated in both Jericho matches. I think he beat Jungle Boy in a clean match at Double or Nothing when there were still no fans. And it was an amazing match. I think he beat Jungle Boy clean. But Jungle Boy also challenges people to 3-on-1 fights knowing he's going to lose. So I don't...
Right.
But yeah.
And I was going to say, he even tried to cheat against Jon Moxley, and Jon Moxley...
Oh, yeah. Jon Moxley cheated against him, which was brilliant. But yes, the hitting people with the rings thing, eventually it's gotta kind of come to a stop. Because when he does become champion, I want to believe that I'm not tuning in every week just to be annoyed with seeing a similar finish every time. Because the finish of this match, they will never do another one better than that.
No.
That was as good as it could have got. I mean, that was really well done. I don't know how you come up with a diamond ring punch to the face finish that is any better than that at all.
I can't think of another scenario that that works.
They filmed that so perfectly. I genuinely, now granted, I'm sure some people saw, I don't know if it was a different camera angle when it was live, but when MJF walked into that ring, I just remember thinking, when did he get the ring handed to him? Did he just have it the whole time? Like, that's kind of anticlimactic. And maybe they did shoot it from an angle where you could see, but I don't think that they did initially. I think the first camera angle, I'll have to go back and watch again. Because I've already watched the match again, and I didn't notice it the second time either.
I don't think I noticed it right away, but right when I kind of saw him holding, I was like, "Oh, Wardlow had to drop it."
Yeah. And then the way that when they showed the replay, the way that they ended up doing it was way better than him just like dropping it behind his back.
Right.
That was very slick, very well done. I almost give MJF credit for how he won that one. Although, I don't know what this whole Wardlow's guy deal is going to be.
They definitely threw a wrench in the prospective plan.
I still think, and when we go over Rampage, I think we should finish with some Revolution predictions now that we're really getting going. So I won't give all my predictions, but what I'll say is I think that CM Punk and MJF are going to have a rematch. And what I had said last week is going to happen, where MJF goes to get help from Wardlow again, but MJF does something to screw it up, and it's not Wardlow's fault, and MJF loses, and then there's the big breakup.
Yes.
Like, I think that's what's going to happen, which is cool. I'm all for another CM Punk MJF match.
I am too. I mean, there's nothing that the way that they had this match, I would love to see another.
And I was thinking put him in a cage, but then I realized that's the dumbest thing ever because you could easily pass a ring through a cage.
Yeah, the fencing.
Yeah, so that wouldn't stop anything. So just give him another one-on-one match. Do something, but I need to see him again.
Yeah, the only stipulation or whatever is Tony Khan banning people coming ringside.
Yeah, which, again, what the fuck does that mean?
You're right.
They're banned from coming down to ringside until the ref gets bumped, and then 4 guys run down, and then they don't even use replay to review what just happened, even though it's literally being displayed on the fucking Jumbotron at all times. Like, my God.
They can't send it to New York.
No, there is no sending the replay to the replay official in the studio in New York. It's not happening. But people interfere enough. They really should.
Yeah, really send it to New York. Yes.
Like, we will be your studio office. Like, send us the clip, we'll review, and we'll give you a decision in real time.
Yeah, give us the timeout. They go to the corners, take the little breather as the referees go into the little booth and get the phone out.
Give every wrestler 1 timeout and 1 challenge flag.
There you go.
Then you give the heels the flag, something to choke people with when the ref's not looking. The baby
you can throw the water bottle at someone. Yeah.
Flag. I think we just invented a sport better than wrestling.
Yeah, as I say, we definitely found a better stipulation match than people can think of.
We'll call it the football. We got to think of another F word.
Yeah, as I say, we have to keep the alliteration going.
Football fight sounds too stupid. Fuck. All right, we'll workshop it.
Yes. Unless the viewers want to comment a match for us with the football something or with the 2 Fs.
It's got to be alliteration. I need 2 words. The first one, football. Actually, it doesn't have to be first word football, but any word is 2 words that properly expresses what we're saying with a letter F at the beginning.
We're here for it.
Comment. Give us a comment. I just want 1 comment.
Just one comment.
Just 1 fucking comment. And if you're listening to this in the audio version, I want 1 rate. Just give me a rate, even if it's 1 star. Rate me 1 star. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Give us some progress.
Yeah. It's better than getting no stars, which is what we're sitting at right now.
We're currently sitting at.
Anyway, that is the Dynamite show. Anything to add before we move on to Rampage?
I am good.
Fish, what did you think of the Rampage show?
Rampage was great yet again. I'm totally impressed with everything. Like I said, it's been pretty consistent after the new year. And so, like I said, I've enjoyed Rampage every single week so far.
I did enjoy the show. I thought it was very good. However, there are a lot of throughout the show, there's a lot of stereotypical wrestling tropes that happen throughout the show. And also Tony Khan is kind of turning into a trope himself, which we'll talk about. But overall, it's a great show, and it's very easy to watch. And the main event was outstanding. But we'll get to that. So let's start at the beginning. Your man,
Adam Cole versus Evil Uno of the Dark Order.
baby.
You got to boom.
Somebody at one point during the match on commentary said, "Hey, did you know that Evil Uno stands for Evil One?" And
Jericho said that.
Was it Taz that was just like, well, I mean, Uno, one.
I think it might have been Excalibur that just destroyed Jericho.
Dude, Jericho's just up there saying stuff sometimes. I would have loved it if Jericho did the whole broadcast in with a pouting face on, because he's just unhappy with what's happening in the inner circle, and he's just dejected the whole time. Oh, what a move!
Care.
He doesn't care. But yes, this match was pretty fun for what it was.
I mean, yes.
Evil was one of those guys that you can just beat, and it doesn't matter. I'll still love seeing him in the Dark Order. So,
right, and the thing is you always have the fallback of him being his prowess in the tag team division.
Sure.
So I think that's always nice, where it's you can always be a kind of a recognizable tag team individual and be like, well, his specialty is tag team. He's not used to having to keep wrestling like this. And I know obviously it doesn't really matter, but it's an easy fallback excuse for.
Well, sure, it matters. I mean, if you ask any wrestler which match type tires about more, I guarantee you the singles.
Oh, yes,
singles.
Tiring. Well, I was saying, I bet Evil Uno has spent more time out in the ring, more than just that Adam Cole match.
Oh yeah,
getting. So, but as a whole, I'm I get it's definitely more taxing for solo matches, but yes, the tag.
Holy shit!
But the tag,
that lighting got brutal for a second. I was trying to wipe off my camera. Yes, the also, just so you know, this is one of the instances in which the AEW records are I don't know if useful is the right word, but when they put up Evil Uno's record and showed that he was 29-16 or whatever, I read that record and I was like, okay, that's a record that makes sense for Evil Uno. Sometimes I see him wrestle on TV. Sometimes he wrestles on Dark. I see enough of him around that when I see his record and I see how he's portrayed in the show, I'm like, oh, okay, that totally makes sense. You're not getting ranked with that record in either division, but it's impressive that he has so many wins and he's Evil Uno. He's in the Dark Order. He's going to get his chances. So I think that there are certain spots where the records make total sense. And then there are other spots where they just make no sense at all. But Adam Cole did make quick work of Evil Uno, eventually lowering the boom with the unexposed knee. And thank God Evil Uno did not take a Panama Sunrise.
I don't think he would have survived.
I don't need to see Evil Uno doing that. And I'm glad they did not. What did you think of the Adam Cole promo afterwards?
I thought it was great, honestly, because now we're getting Adam Cole to the championship match against Hangman or whoever has it at the time. But I like seeing guys go after, kind of enough distractions, especially enough distractions from the best friends.
Yeah.
To go for a championship run.
So I obviously love that we're finally in the direction of Adam Cole and Hangman. It's been there the whole time, but they've done nothing with it. Everyone kind of thought this is where it would go. And instead of doing an elongated, I know it's kind of been done before, but when remember when they did the 10-man tag with the Dark Order?
Yes.
So it's kind of been done before, but could we not have revisited the Dark Order versus elite feud, only this time it's Adam Cole leading Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, because that would play into the storyline, and maybe they will still do it because there's still a couple weeks to the pay-per-view. But like, I was expecting to have gotten Dark Order segments for the last several weeks. And the other thing is, like, how come Hangman had those 2 matches against Danielson and all of a sudden no more Hangman plus Dark Order segments? Like, they're just not ever in the same shot together. I just feel like this reminded me of how little, like, when Hangman was on the way to becoming champion, it felt like he was always a segment with his friends on the show. And now it's just like, we got to do some Lance Archer stuff. But anyway, back to Adam Cole's promo. That was just that match reminded me of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole's promo was good. And the vigor with which he delivered his words was great. I have heard him cut that same promo 47 times. and I have heard every wrestler who gets promo time cut that exact same promo probably 174 times. If you go back in NXT, I'm pretty sure Adam Cole cut "this is a different Adam Cole, I'm going to take what I want" promo. And I honestly cannot recall a single time in his entire career where he didn't take what he wanted. So that's really not much of a change or a different Adam Cole. He can get away with it because he speaks so well and he does such a good job with the promo. But like, I was listening to this and it's almost comical, like hearing some of the wrestling buzzwords at a certain point.
Right.
At the end of the day, without a shadow of a doubt, like all these things that everybody seems to end up finding a use for in their promos when they're told, "Hey, go kill 5 minutes." Like, I just think it would have been, again, it was good. It would have been so much more effective if he had said all of this stuff like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're definitely repeating yourself over and over again, I could definitely, like, people will catch on. But yeah, I was just happy that we finally got the definitive direction of
who
Adam
else
Cole.
is always coming back a different version of himself?
Who's that?
Matt Hardy. He loves talking about how it's going to be a new Matt Hardy. There are 2 Matt Hardys. There's a couple if you count his little multiverse, but the Matt Hardy that does wacky stuff on his own and the Matt Hardy that is with Jeff. Those are the 2 Matt Hardys.
Oh, man. So, yeah. So now we move on to Jade Cargill's wanting to know who's next for her TBS championship match. Who's
next? You know who's back on the other show?
Who is back?
Goldberg.
Oh.
And it's so funny because she didn't just say who's next. Like, there was more that she added to it because you can't say who's next because, like, that's Goldberg. Goldberg says who's next. So I thought that was funny because it happened on the same night. He was on SmackDown on Friday, I think.
But yeah, I mean, it was all right.
Who do you think the next challenger would be?
Next challenger? My guess would be like Ty Conti, but
okay, I like that guess.
Since she already wrestled Anna Jay, I figured Ty Conti will be next.
Damn it. I don't think there's a better guess than that. So I'm just going to agree like a sheep. Because I wasn't going to say that. I mean, maybe I would have. I was going to have to think about it for a second. But now that I am thinking about it, I think that's got to be the next person.
Yeah, I really don't know who else would be next besides that.
Or Nyla.
You think so?
I don't know. She won against Ruby.
Very true.
So maybe.
We'll see who cuts the promo next week.
Yes. Who's going to come back the following week, a different version of themselves?
Oh, man. So then after that, we go to the TNT Championship match with Sammy Guevara and Isaiah Cassidy of the AHFO.
The AHFO. And this, I will say that Sammy, me and my dad were actually talking about like remembering Sammy from like 5 years ago before there was even an AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just so much better now. Like, he was good then, but he's just like he carries himself on TV very strongly, if that makes sense. And even Isaiah Cassidy, he looked a lot smoother in this match.
He did. He did.
Then you go back to the beginning, and it's like he was keeping up with guys, but he didn't necessarily look the smoothest. And he looked pretty good in this match. It was just like there was all kinds of stuff wrong with, with afterwards, really. You knew Sammy was going to win. But then after, did they say on the show that Isaiah Cassidy was going to get the Face of the Revolution qualifier match, or did they announce it after the show?
I don't even remember actually that being announced.
Oh, okay. So next week somebody is going to come. They say Tony was like, "Oh, somebody from the Forbidden Door is going to be on Dynamite next week, and they're going to wrestle Isaiah Cassidy, and the winner is going to get in the ladder match." The Forbidden Door talk is officially played out for me. The debuts are starting to lose their shine, because what happens now is someone debuts, they do something for a couple weeks, and then they disappear for many weeks. Like we saw a Miro promo. Where's Miro been? There's just too many people that. Right. I mean, Brian Cade's contract is about to be up, or maybe it's already up, and he's a free agent. But like, he basically wasn't used for almost a year. It feels like there's just so many dudes that are so great that the debuts, to me now, like if Okada walked through the curtain, okay, that would be pretty sick. But at this point, the Forbidden Door to me has always been New Japan guys. I don't really care about the dudes on Impact. There's a lot of guys that are good, but that's not where the storylines are. Ring of Honor doesn't exist. I mean, formally it will, but it's not really a thing right now. If you're a free agent, the door ain't forbidden, bro. If you are signing a contract with AEW, you haven't walked through anything forbidden.
Correct.
In fact, you've been invited. So I just think that the hype machine is a little out of control, because we're getting to a point where it's very hard to live up to some of these things, especially for people who like me. Forbidden Door equals New Japan. And if it's not going to be a New Japan guy, just say you signed somebody.
If that's the case, yes.
Which we don't know, but I have a strong inkling that it's not someone from New Japan. And it's getting to me a little bit, because a bunch of them are in the United States. Will Ospreay will be here. Jay White is here. The Guerrillas of Destiny are here. Like, there's so many people you could bring over. Where are the Briscoes? They're not New Japan guys. But aside from being a New Japan guy, those are the only two people that I'm like excited to have debut. So I don't know. The Forbidden Door talk is played out, but Isaiah Cassidy will wrestle someone who's passing through the Forbidden Door next week, and the winner gets to be in the ladder match. So there you go.
There you go.
And people seem to think it's going to be Keith Lee, which would be really cool. I love Keith Lee. It's just he's going to go be in a ladder match and then disappear. Like, what are we going to do with him?
Right. What's the direction?
Yeah. And also, Isaiah Cassidy should not be in a qualifying match for a ladder match for a chance to win a shot at a title he just lost wrestling for. It's preposterous. That shouldn't happen.
It should be eliminated from the qualifying match since he just wrestled for it.
Yes. At least like put the other private party guy in there who he
Mark Quinn. Yeah, you can do Mark Quinn in there. Yeah.
I don't know that he deserves it either, but at least it's not the guy who literally just lost.
Right, correct.
Like,
you could say it makes sense for him to be qualified for it, because you could just say like he entered.
Yeah.
And he has to wrestle in this qualifying match to get into it. Makes sense.
Exactly. And instead, we're going to give a guy another opportunity who just lost. It's like, it just plays into that whole let's get other people some TV time thing. And I know that the dude debuting probably just needs somebody that he can destroy. But for the sake of me believing in your records and rankings, make it not the guy who just lost.
Correct. Yeah, makes sense to me. And I still think one of the famous Forbidden Door promos is Jon Moxley, and he called himself the Forbidden Door. So if it's anybody wrestling not Jon Moxley, not the Forbidden Door to me.
At this point, there are 8 different doors, and like 2 of them are forbidden. 3 of them are people. One of them is the promoter, Tony. Like, there's like 8 forbidden doors. I don't even know. Hey, if Adam Cole showed up next week and claimed he was now the Forbidden Door, that actually would be a different version.
There would be a different version. That is correct.
So maybe that's where we're going.
There we go. The Forbidden
So
Door from himself.
Like they talk about it so much, like I don't know. It's just preposterous. Tony is like the smartest overgrown child in the world. Like I don't know anybody that could pull off some of the things that he pulls off, running a soccer club, helping you a ton of shit with the Jaguars,
right?
Running an analytics company, also doing AEW. Like it's incredible, all of the stuff that he does. But the hype machine is too much for me at this point.
So I like the Forbidden Door talk because I just figured obviously it's just a big name that obviously would wrestle someone big. That would be, but Isaiah Cassidy is not a big name. But like with Minoru Suzuki coming and wrestling Moxley, that was awesome.
Oh, so, yeah. But again, New Japan guy.
Correct.
Me,
New Japan.
Very forbidden. Oh, and at the conclusion of that Sammy match, we had Darby come out.
Yes.
And Darby came to help him, but also indicated that he would very much like his TNT title back. And we'll probably get that match at Revolution as a rematch from the Revolution 2 years ago.
Right.
I was at live. That match was awesome between those two guys.
Yeah. I mean, Darby was a great TNT champion. So.
Yeah, I look forward to that. And it's just funny because back then, Sammy and Darby were the second match on that show. And they were just a match. Like they were two guys who are like pillars or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a great match. Now it's like, 2 years later, same pay-per-view. They're in a much bigger spot. I think that's cool.
A weighted match for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, so now we kick it on over to QT Marshall, who sent a message to Hook.
I love QT. I mean, they use him.
Guy.
Yeah, they use him in the most appropriate ways. Like he's someone who never feels as if when he's on TV, he is stepping out of his lane, so to speak.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect geek for a hook to suplex over and over.
Yes, correct. Hook's just going to run through the Nightmare Factory or whatever they're called. The factory, is that the?
Yeah. Yes. The Nightmare Family is Cody.
The factory is QT.
Very confusing.
But yeah, I'm excited for Hook. That's what I got out of it.
I'm always excited for Hook. Send him.
Yes, send Hook. So then we move on to Layla Hirsch attacking Chris Statlander with the chair backstage.
Oh man, I hope that chair wasn't as bad as it actually sounded because
that sounded brutal.
Yeah, that was she smashed her with that chair. I really hope that it wasn't just a regular folding chair.
Yeah. Oh, Layla Hirsch, she's a badass.
I mean, no arguments here. That's definitely what she is now.
The attacks backstage, love them.
Yes. Hopefully we can get this match on a Revolution pre-show to cap off the underwhelming feud.
That's been literally 2 weeks behind everything they've done.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, after that, the Thunder Rosa Mercedes Martinez match.
This was not what I expected.
I did not expect this.
No, not at all. I didn't dislike it either because they never do disqualifications. And I actually think they should probably, I don't want to say they should blatantly do more disqualifications, but there are too many instances where
the ref's distracted.
Yes, but there are too many instances where the ref isn't distracted. But they should definitely do more things like this to establish that, in fact, you can get disqualified. But then, the other thing is the only person who ever gets caught cheating and the match gets restarted is MJF. It's happened to him three times now. So it's important to me that they set a precedent that, in fact, other people can cheat and get in trouble for it, other than MJF.
Other than MJF, right.
But if it means that this is going to be the build to an eventual pay-per-view match, and it clearly means that Thunder Rosa is kind of stepping up maybe to get a Britt Baker title shot, then I'm for it.
Yes, it definitely showed that Britt Baker is still scared of Thunder Rosa.
Which, thank God, we had Thunder Rosa lose in the TBS title tournament. I mean, why even put her in there if the next thing she's going to do is go after the world title? I don't understand, but okay.
Well, yeah, because we had Mercedes Martinez hit her in the head with that bottle or chair or whatever.
So
to like knock her out to lose.
So, and if Britt Baker, we find out, is behind all of this and she's the one that paid off Mercedes Martinez.
Well,
it's implied. Yeah, it's implied. Right. Actually, no, yeah, she basically says she paid
backstage
her.
she did. Yeah, I was gonna say
it wasn't implied.
Yeah. But she's got to finish the job. That's what was quoted after.
Yes. So like if Britt paid Mercedes to cost Thunder Rosa the TBS title match, like, doesn't that make Britt dumb? Because if Thunder Rosa had just won the TBS title,
should be too worried defending that than taking on Britt Baker.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit of a slip up by Britt, but okay.
So, yeah, now Thunder Rosa is definitely going to have to go through Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter.
Well, Jamie Hayter seemed, I think this is where we might finally get the Jamie Hayter turn, because Jamie was not clued in on
No, she was not too happy about it. So
no, she was visibly angry with not being kept in the loop.
So we'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, but Mercedes, Thunder, Britt, Jamie Hayter too, great wrestler. Package all four of those in some kind of feud, and you're going to have some pretty solid women's matches.
Yeah, and definitely very good segments too, because even the promos leading up to this match, I thought were really good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, very good. And then lastly, for the main event, we had the FTW Championship with Jay Lethal and Ricky Starks.
This match was awesome.
Oh, it was incredible. I love this. I love FTW
this was
stuff.
Such a good match. And I think it's really funny because FTW title is not a sanctioned title. And Taz makes a point of that. Like,
yes,
that's why we've talked about it before. Taz has maintained credibility, and it's like a masterclass in maintaining credibility. Because on commentary, he's not sitting there being the over obnoxious heel saying that not only should it be recognized, but it's the best title. Like, he doesn't claim that the FTW title is anything other than what it is.
Yes,
a title for his boys. And I think it's hilarious that Jay Lethal's entire motivation for trying to win the title is only because they think it's important. And if they want it, then he wants to take it from them.
Take it away from Taz.
Yeah, which is very funny. And, definitely, I think this is the best use of the FTW title that they've had. And it was an outstanding match. The finish was so good.
Oh, it was incredible.
Now, I saw a funny tweet from X-Pac. So I forget. It was some wrestling journalist. I think it was somebody from a website called Fightful. Maybe it was Sean Ross Sapp. But he tweeted after this match. He said, what does doing a handspring add to a cutter? And X-Pac responded, a handspring. And I thought that was hilarious.
There you go.
But yes, I was a little worried at first. Like when he jumped up on Ricky Stark's shoulders, I was like, oh shit, he's going to land on his head. And then they got him over smooth. That was awesome.
Yes, it was quick. It was a
very quick.
Very like fast event.
Oh yeah.
For that move. It was very quick, precise, and clean.
Jay Lethal is one of those guys where I hate saying this because it makes me feel like a dick, but there are people who should be more prominently featured than Jay Lethal. But every time I see him wrestle, I'm kind of like, this guy needs to be wrestling way more on television.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like he somehow makes me care about matches that I know he's losing. Like I knew he was going to lose that TNT title match against Sammy, and it was a freaking awesome match. And I was 99% sure that he was going to lose against Ricky Starks, and he still made it an awesome match.
There's a one point where I thought he was going to win.
He does such a good job of putting at least that little bit of doubt in you while you're watching, that even if in the build you're not sold at all, it's like he always figures out a way to get you to buy into him winning as a real possibility, even when like deep in your heart, it's not.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely incredible match all the way, through. I mean, I love Taz. and Team Taz with the FTW stuff going on. So it's definitely like they definitely need to be on TV more often. Hopefully this kind of springboards them into more of a prominent role on AEW.
Oh yeah, I would hope so. Rather than Jay Lethal needs to be wrestling more, and Ricky Starks and all of Team Taz definitely needs to be more than just occasionally defending an FTW title and doing commentary.
Right. And I think we're going to get that tag team with Jay Lethal and Dante Martin versus Ricky Starks and Will Hobbs.
That would be awesome.
So I definitely think that'll be a great match.
That will be an awesome match.
Since technically Hobbs definitely didn't interfere. He just stood in the way.
Yeah.
Which very well he can do that. He didn't interfere with the match at all.
No, he did not. I mean, it's not like he was like, it was blatant distraction.
Yes.
He didn't do anything.
Right. He just stood there.
If Jay Lethal had ignored him and just continued wrestling, nothing would have happened.
Right.
So
the plan would have backfired on Hobbs, but took enough attention away from Ricky. So
and the one thing too is, I think it's interesting when guys do that kind of stuff, because as the dude who's being fucked with, you should have to worry about them coming in trying to cause a DQ.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if you've got the other guy on the ropes, it makes more sense for somebody to try and interfere and end the match before a title can change hands, which earlier in the show we saw a DQ. So part of that was in the mind. Like, I would have been furious if Will Hobbs had blatantly interfered one match after there was an actual disqualification.
Right, correct.
So
they made it a big deal on commentary, saying it's only like the third time or something that there's been a DQ on
third time. AEW. Oh yeah. So here's a fun little game. Name all three of the DQs. I think I know them.
I can tell you the first one.
First one?
Yes. Hack with Kenny Omega.
One of the falls in the Iron Man match. Yes.
And then I could probably I guess it's a double count out or something. I was going to say Brandon Cutler and
nope, that's not the one. That's not the one they're talking about. The last two happened recently. The one on Rampage, and then there was another one very recently. Can you think of it?
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, you're going to be so upset when I tell you. The captain, Sean Dean.
Oh, yes, man. How could I forget that?
Got the win over MJF after CM Punk gave him
the first Dynamite in the new year. Yep. And the captain won.
So those are the three DQs.
First one ever on Rampage, though.
Yeah, first ever Rampage DQ. That's true. Also, my dad was supposed to be at the show on Wednesday, and they're obviously for the Dynamite or the Rampage tapings. And they got so much snow up there that it looked like a 2-hour drive to get to the Wintrust Arena with all the snow on the highway and everything. And he ended up deciding that it wasn't worth it, and he probably missed an excellent night of wrestling. And he was a little upset about it, but I'm glad he didn't go. I don't want him driving on the highway like that. Before we go, first, anything else you wanted to add about Rampage?
No, like I said before in the previous shows and the beginning of this one, is that I think Rampage has definitely been the most consistent this new year, and I've always looked forward to watching Rampage. It's usually short and sweet and to the point.
To me, a lot of it still feels like a supplement to what happens on Dynamite, but they do such a good job with supplementing the stuff that I see on Dynamite that I still think it's a great show, even if there's sometimes some things that feel less important.
Right, correct.
But the one thing that I wanted to do before we head out here, let's try and predict a couple of Revolution matches. I think you and I both agree that it'll be a Adam Page, Adam Cole world title match.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll include that one. Let's go 3 predictions.
Okay. So I will have to say, now that they're going in this direction, I think it will be Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin.
All right. That was one that I would also predict. I think I'm a little confused because there's so many people that seem to want the faction, but I don't think we're getting it. I think we're getting Jon Moxley versus Danielson at Revolution. Unless it's a really slow build. If it's a really slow build, maybe we don't, but I think that's where we're going.
That'd be a really good match to watch.
And I'm probably wrong. I mean, it seems like too strong. People seem too interested in it for it to just be started and paid off by a Revolution. But it seems that something in that direction is happening.
Yeah, well, if you really want a crazy one, this is probably definitely a slow burn one. But if you want a crazy prediction, I would say the Young Bucks versus Red Dragon.
Oh, they've kind of stepped into the background as they established Adam Cole as the next challenger. But there was that lingering, like, maybe we should have some friendly competition thing.
Yes. So that's where I'm like, I want to say, because then, later you can have, Kenny return inside with the Young Bucks.
Well, I think that's still a little bit of ways away.
Right.
Like, I hope it is, because Kenny was badly injured in many areas and he should not come back and do things physically already. Like, if we want him to wrestle into his 40s, then he should probably take his time. But what I think I think he's on his way back, and that's what will happen. But what I think is going to happen is that I think you're right. I think we get a Red Dragon Young Bucks match on the pay-per-view, and the two teams beat the shit out of each other so much that none of them are able to help Adam Cole when he needs it in the main event title match. And then Adam Cole has a problem with both guys, because if they had just gotten over their silly shit, at least one of them could have been there.
They've helped, right? I didn't even think about that.
I mean, shit. Some of this stuff is not that hard to think of, and then they'll just go in a completely opposite direction. And sometimes the direction is better, and sometimes it makes a little less sense than, what other people think of. But I think that's a very viable option for the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So I think that's a bold and crazy one, but I do think that could happen.
What do you think will happen with the women's world title? Let's make that our last prediction.
I will say Thunder Rosa beats Britt Baker.
I also think Thunder Rosa is going to beat Britt Baker. And I think that Mercedes Martinez might get a match against Jamie Hayter in the lead up to it. And maybe Jamie walks out on Britt in a title match. Like, Thunder Rosa could just beat Britt clean, but I think breaking Jamie off would make it more dramatic. So I think that'll add to it as well. And then I also think I'll throw one more prediction your way. I think we'll get the Jurassic Express defending against the Kings of the Black Throne.
Yeah, I definitely think that will happen. So I
still can't get over how big of a geek Jungle Boy looked like on Dynamite. It was so stupid.
The Gun Club really just gave it to Jungle Boy.
Dude, and somebody else pointed out, I think it was Lance Storm, that Jungle Boy picked the fight and lost. Which,
yes.
Obviously that's what happened. But when I heard it in those words, I was sitting there going, yeah, they didn't do anything to him. Billy Gunn asked him if he was reading the Jungle Book. And Jungle Boy...
They're just making fun of him.
Yeah.
They didn't initiate any fight.
And even more so, Christian came in soon after. He was right hot on the tail. So was the Luchasaurus. So in theory, if Jungle Boy had just fucking relaxed and not done that, eventually his two buddies would have showed up.
Would have caught up to him.
Yes, and it would have been an even fight, at which point, go ahead, start your fight. And you better not lose if it's 3-on-3.
Well, as I say, you can definitely lead it to a trios match, since the AEW does do that.
Which I'm sure that they will do a trios match, but that would have been such an easy build if Jungle Boy is just sitting there letting Billy Gunn run him down, and then both of his guys who are much bigger than him enter the fray, and we get a good backstage brawl where the ass boys are thrown in the snow,
and the big boys go at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but yeah, that's whatever. We'll move on. I don't fucking ass boys. Anyway, I got nothing else in terms of looking ahead to the future or anything like that. Don't know where else they're going for Revolution matches, but
yeah, we'll figure it out as hopefully next Dynamite.
Yep. The last prediction we'll make. Who do you think's going? I think it's going to be Keith Lee. Who do you think is going to be Isaiah Cassidy next week? There's a chance it won't be Keith Lee, though, because he did just get married. And if I had just gotten married, my priority would be enjoying a honeymoon after the horrible time I spent in WWE with my wife, and then maybe getting back into the wrestling thing. But
yes, so this is going to be a really crazy one.
All right.
And if you're ready for crazy, Roosh.
As in like ROH Roosh?
Yes.
I don't hate that. That is a wild prediction.
Yes, I do think that Andrade is going to bring in some reinforcements for the AHFO, and it's going to cause some dissension.
I hope he brings in his whole family, and then it's just Andrade and his whole family, and Matt Hardy is just like the odd man, and then they go to throw Matt Hardy out, and that's when Jeff debuts.
So, but yeah, Roosh, that's my pick.
I mean, and the funny thing too, I hope you're right, because if we get Roosh, it means we'll probably also get a Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee he's a different cat, that's for sure.
But I thought that would be a very interesting one and a hot take. So
I'm now rooting for that. The other person it could possibly be, who could eventually have his rematch against Jeff Hardy in AEW, Killer Cross. Is also
Killer Cross.
Yeah. Where he can actually use the name Killer Cross because he doesn't have to be a branded monkey on the other show and be Karrion Cross. So,
and not lose to Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes.
Although we can still recreate that, baby.
We definitely can recreate that.
Yes.
How about he just loses to Matt Hardy in 2 minutes? So both the Hardys have
and then he can just retire. He can just quit. Losing to two Hardy boys in their 40s.
God forbid.
I can't. The thing is like at this point, the only people they should be bringing in are old dudes like Jeff Hardy, because everybody knows exactly what they should get from a Jeff Hardy. Whereas, like, if you bring in a Keith Lee should be at least in the TNT title picture and should be in important feuds because he's that good. But
yes,
there's no time for that. Same thing.
The only thing I could say is, sorry to interrupt. The only thing it says, if he goes with the feuds with Team Taz and Will Hobbs, I think that would be incredible matches.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, but like he should be in things like that all the time.
Right. Correct.
And then same with Killer Cross. If he was in there, he does nothing, coming in, wrestling a couple matches, and then just being somebody who pops up every once in a while. So I hope you're right, because Roosh is somebody who would undoubtedly be featured heavily going forward.
And he doesn't technically have to go after prominent title belts either, because he could just hang out with Andrade.
Oh, yeah. And Jose.
The fist bump.
And they can try and get Mr. Sting. And
Mr. Sting and this kid. Little kid.
All right. Well, that's all I got in terms of Rampage Revolution coming up. You got anything else as some parting words for us, Fish?
I am A-okay. I think we're ready to rock and roll into next week.
All right. Well, for Ryan Fish, I'm Matt Gould. This is the Gould-Fish Pod, and thanks again for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Adios.